It is just our mind as Africans. We must do better. Therefore,
I have given you money to go and fight yourselves. You have accepted.
It's up to you.
And you are fighting.
You look at
so
the
wars
more stupid. The more war, there was in Central African Republic, there was in Southern Sudan, there was in Sudan, there was in the DRC, there was. You cannot claim. Of course, we know that there is that hand of the imperialists and the fascists. But at the end of the day, we are the ones who are fighting these wars.
How can I tell you to go and fight your brother? And you also go and fight him.
Remember that by
and you know that they have an interest.
By 2013, the African Union passed a resolution. They said our challenge is that we must silence these wars.
Total gun silence in Africa.
Silencing of the wars was adopted in 2013 June, and they gave themselves a time frame that by 2020 the wars on the African continent would be silenced. Have they been? If anything, the guns are smoking much more than they were smoking when they adopted the resolution in 2013.
Wow.
So, as far as peace and security, as one of our concerns, even when we have got the entire directorate, the entire department of peace and security, African Union, we have not silenced the guns. The other challenge we have, I have told you, is food security. We are experiencing hunger. We have even created permanent organs like IGAD, fighting famine, fighting what. We have got permanent staff there. And it's being funded by our enemy. Are we ever going to find a solution to have peace and security, to sort out famine and hunger when we have got permanent bodies with permanent staff and money coming in, and their work is to make sure that they keep fighting something for them to be there, so that something must keep there.
Somebody told me, Irumba, on the Pan-African show, you need to analyze what an AU under the hands of Ndayishimiye means. There they even said there is an Agenda 2063. An Agenda 2063.
African Union
yes.
Vision 2063.
Yes. Who is funding it?
Free your mind now. Be part of the People's Pan-African Parliament. The Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusabe.
The Pan-African Pyramid Weekly Round Table with your speaker, Emperor Andrew Irumba Katusabe. Welcome to yet another edition of the Pan-African Pyramid Weekly Roundup. My comrade, my elder comrade Daniel Rugarama Karachiko, our permanent panelist here, is already in his seat. Comrade, welcome. Good morning.
A very good morning, our dear brother speaker, Comrade Irumba Katusabe. Andrew, I think given it to you by force.
Sorry, I don't like it, but it is in my academic credentials, it is on my national ID, it is on my birth certificate. So when they were giving it to me, they had no processes. They just said you had. When I want to remove it,
it will be a problem. We can maintain it. You see, I have discovered one thing with these names. It's like language. Although, for instance, the Africa as a continent is still fighting with disassociating itself from this business of Anglophone, Francophone, whatever phone. There is about to be a China phone or whatever you call it. There is a sense in which I appreciate how the Cubans have handled it. Cuba is essentially not a Spanish speaking country, maybe by colonialism, but they are speaking Spanish as a whole community. And you know, in Cuba, where over 95% of the population is literate, has not stopped them from advancing their, if you like, anti-fascism credentials. The rate at which they advance Ubuntuism, if you like, is out of this world. So probably there is much more than to a language. I mean, there is much more to Ubuntuism and advancing what one would call independent development, all-round development, than simply to as associated to just a language. A language, yes, is a means, but we may not necessarily restrict ourselves to you must develop a language, and that language should be so unique to you that in that way, therefore, you will be a better person than you would have otherwise been. Yes, but I wouldn't like that we restrict ourselves and narrow our thinking in that context.
Names. Now, comrade, what triggered your mind over the weekend in a Pan-African context? There have been a lot of issues, but let me hear one or two in the next.
No, just 1 minute, I think. Yeah, you're right. I am continuing to monitor the developments surrounding the skirmishes, the American Trump's domestic troubles. I'm looking at again the unfortunate arrogant behavior of Trump in Iran, and I'm getting concerned, and the to and fro.
By the way, the other last week Tuesday, me and you were at the Iranian function at Sheraton.
Yes,
where they were celebrating
the
47th anniversary of the Iranian Revolution or something.
Yeah, of course. You see what the world must understand.
But before you come, there is a statement that the ambassador said in his statement that I don't know whether you picked interest in that statement. The days of unilateralism
are over. No, you could not have put it any better, because we know for a fact that.
And he was talking about America.
Absolutely. Gone are the days. I would be shocked if he was talking about any other, apart from America and the Zionist state of Israel, which actually is one and the same. The days of unilateralism that he was referring to are the days when the only superpower was the United States of America. At least in every sense that one would want to look at it, they were the only superpower. And because you remember that China had not yet properly emerged, the emergence of China, economically and otherwise, was around 1975, 79, 8. What they call the economic miracle. And the Russia, not long ago, had also undergone a downward trend when the USSR disintegrated again under the thanks to America, because they're the ones who created that. Of course, there could have been other factors, but the biggest contribution was done by United States of America. So therefore, around that time, before China pressurized, after USSR disintegrated, the only superpower we had on planet Earth was the United States of America. And then, therefore, it was easy for the philosophers of and those who would want to interest themselves in the global politics to say, and correctly so, that we're having a unipolar world. A unipolar world in the sense that it was only the United States of America that was calling the shots. When, therefore, the Iranian ambassador to Uganda makes a statement just 4 or so days ago at Sheraton that the days of unilateralism were over, is you cannot take him lightly, because we know that since China has become a force to reckon with, it is a nuclear power, and a very serious one at that. Their nuclear capability is at the level of even a hydrogen bomb. And I told you here, and I repeat, that a hydrogen bomb that China possesses has got capacity to kill the entire globe 4 times. Everything with that takes in oxygen
4 times.
4 times. Now, when
In
you are
case you survived the first one, the second comes and hits you.
Yes.
In case you survive the second one, the third one comes and hits
Even
you.
if, by the way, you are able to die the very first time, the entire world, the simple meaning there is that the capacity is that 4 times. The capacity of the hydrogen bomb that China possesses can kill the entire world 4 times. That should send a message. And Russia, which, by the way, the thinkers around that time when we were still having the unilateralism that the ambassador was talking about of United States of America, Russia now, the disintegrated USSR, now Russia alone, is by far the largest piece of land mass. And size matters. Don't be deceived that size does not matter. Because if that was the case, then we would not be having the small territories of Europe forming the European Union. But the point, before I depart from what you have put to me, is that even Russia has got the nuclear arsenal of Russia is by far outstripping the nuclear capability, nuclear arsenal of the entire Western Europe combined together. Now, if you have got China and Russia and India and Iran in the same boat, actually those 4 that I have mentioned have formed something of the sort of equivalent of NATO. They may not have written it, but when you look at the presence now of the BRICS, is more or less the equivalent of NATO or even more. And therefore, indeed, to buttress your point, the days of unilateralism that United States of America used to have back then are but over, signaling that now, if there was to be a major war, that is to say that the UN Security Council, for instance, disagree to a point that here we are attacking Iran, that is now America, and China and Russia say, you are not going to attack Iran. We are going to do everything humanly possible to stop you from doing it. If such a disagreement happened to those levels of proportional, to those higher proportional levels, then you would have the Third World War. And we don't know what will happen when such a thing actually takes place, because I have already warned you and warned our brothers and sisters listening and viewing us, that now the world is at such level where we can kill every living thing on planet Earth 4 times. And that is only the capacity of China. So therefore, my thinking is that we can still have life as long as God helps the likes of Trump, the likes of Xi Jinping, the likes of Putin to be sober. Because if any of them woke up one of these mornings and he's out of his mental faculties, would be normal. It is as bad as that.
Okay. Now, the other item I want us to give it also. You have given this one 3 minutes. It's a lot. I want you to give this one 1 minute. There has been over the weekend. There has been a trending video about Chiarmanship, where he commented that we cannot claim to be free as Africans when Palestine and the rest of the world, some of the countries are under dominance. He was talking about Palestine, he was talking about Venezuela, he was talking about Cuba, and other countries under the boots of the United States of America. I think we need to give Ramaphosa and South Africa really a pat on their back.
The South Africans have lived up to their bidding. South Africa is Africa's, I think, second largest economy, if the statistics have not changed.
For Nigeria.
After Nigeria, or maybe it could be the other way around, whatever. But at least we know that when you mention the first two big economies, then we're talking about Nigeria and South Africa. At least that is settled. At the same time, the history of South Africa is such that they have been at, historically speaking, at the point where they were under the shackles of apartheid, and the larger part of their history is characterized by the spillovers of apartheid.
The white boers.
And the South Africans did everything humanly possible, of course with the support later of their brothers and sisters on the African continent and elsewhere, because the Cubans were not necessarily Africans, but they supported the dismantling of apartheid to the heat. The creation of the frontline states, which did a final blow to the apartheid regime in South Africa. So therefore, the South Africans know, at least a good number of them, know what it means to be pushed under the bus for such a long time. And when they come up and reciprocate what the rest of the world did for them, I think, and it doesn't have to be any other, because when you look at how they took up the matter of the Zionist state of Israel against the Palestinians to the ICJ, how they prosecuted it and they are still prosecuting, then you can only but admire. When you look at the way the South African administration, especially Ramaphosa, has handled during the G20, has handled the bullying tactics of Trump when he refused to calm down South Africa, because the next presidency was supposed to, of the G20 was supposed to go to America, and it did, but he didn't come to collect it from Johannesburg. And you heard the speech which he gave. When you look at how consistent he has been in attacking all the injustices, wherever the injustices have happened, globally speaking, you can only, of course I'm not saying that the Ramaphosa and the colleagues are angels. They have got their own troubles. That is why in a book called Darkness at Noon, the author Kosala says that there is nobody who can rule guiltlessly. So we cannot take South Africa to be angels, no. But at least in the context of them being able to realize that they one time suffered what the rest of the world, what for instance Cuba is suffering, what Venezuela is suffering, what Palestine, because they correctly described what is happening in Palestine. Maybe also to remind our viewers and ourselves that effectively the Jewish, the Zionist state of Israel has taken over the West Bank, which was left.
Really?
Yes.
As
The
we
other
speak
time
now?
they were just occupying it, and but now
They have
it's a policy.
declared
It's
it's
a
there.
policy. They have even systematically put layers that in this part of West Bank you are only allowed to carry on certain level activities to this level. Then in the other area, maybe 40%. In the next part of West Bank, because the ultimate aim is that the West Bank should be part of the Zionist state of Israel, and they don't give a damn what the rest of the world says. And of course, they could not have done it without the support of America. So we know that whatever they are doing is with the blessing of United States of America. And to me, therefore, Ramaphosa's comments, in as far as the injustices which and the travesty of the law, of the human rights, of wherever in the rest of the world is at a growing, an alarmingly high growing levels that maybe we can also safely conclude that we are leaving the bulk of the work as African Union, African heads of state and African peoples, including ourselves, to one man called Ramaphosa. I have not heard as much noise, as much condemnation from the rest of the African people to the injustices elsewhere and on the African continent.
Begin from Uganda. The president Museveni is regarded as
A Pan-African.
yes.
He's
But,
actually the patron
yeah.
of the Global Pan-African
Yeah.
Secretariat.
Actually, he would be using the office, that office of the Global Pan-African Secretariat, being the patron, and the headquarters are in his country, in Uganda.
The Secretariat.
The Secretariat. He would be using that office to echo out the African voice.
That is the decay, Comrade Uwumba, that is the decay that we have had.
Now Ramaphosa is speaking, but the leadership of the Pan-African movement, global chapter, is here.
At least we are.
The beholder is silent.
At least we are helping them, because our voice does not stop here. Those who have followed us and still follow us know that our voice even goes up to the White House. So therefore, that whatever our patron, because the patron of the global Pan-African movement is also the patron of the chapter, and I want to believe by implication the patron of all the Pan-African ideology here as well. So whatever they have fallen short of doing, for us we are doing.
You are doing.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Comrade Rugarama, my elder, African Union has a new chairman. That new chairman is the president of Burundi, Ndayishimiye. Yeah? He's going to chair the union for the next 1 year. It's rotation. These are the comments I've been reading from the online. One of them said, Ndayishimiye has failed even to manage his country well. How can he manage the entire continent? That is a comment. Then, as I was still reading, I see the US mission in Africa congratulating Ndayishimiye and even openly saying we are going to collaborate as we have been. But when you look at the collaboration America is doing in Africa with the African Union, when you look at the collaboration, and China, the collaboration they have at the African Union level, it is that which actually muzzles down your interest. The very reasons why you started up the AU they muzzle them down and then promote their interest in Africa. So somebody told me, Irumba, on the Pan-African show, you need to analyze what an AU under the hands of Ndayishimiye means. There they even said there is an Agenda 2063. An Agenda 2063.
African Union
Yes.
Vision 2063.
Yes. Who is funding it? So I want you to analyze those two issues. What is the African Union under the leadership of Ndayishimiye from Burundi? What do you see?
First of all, we must understand the tenets upon which the Organization of African Union, now the African Union, Organization of African Union, then at 1963, which has been, which has been renamed AU. The purpose
that was Gaddafi's idea, I think.
Yes,
to rename it African Union.
He had actually, for him, actually, his proposal was even more dynamic because he had wanted to establish what the Casablanca group of the Kwame Nkrumahs had wanted to establish in 1963. That was Gaddafi's proposal around 2010, or thereabout. And of course, our own president, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and some other colleagues said no. More or less what Mwalimu Julius Nyerere did when Kwame Nkrumah proposed that let us not leave the premises here at Addis Ababa without one army, one currency, one country, so that all these other countries of ours are like provinces. Because he also warned that when we go back without one currency, one army, one country, one passport, we are going to get too comfortable in our seats in our little seats as presidents, being saluted and open doors and for us, and then the idea of one Africa will be very difficult to advance. Of course, the Monrovia group, where the Mwalimu Julius Nyerere belonged, they defeated him, and of course, at that time, the imperialists was also doing a great job. I don't think that they were alone. In fact, they were even lucky that the emperor of Ethiopia actually accepted to participate, because the imperialists or the colonialists at that time, because majority, some of the parts of Africa were still under colonialism, they had persuaded him that for him he was beyond the level of a president, and he was the emperor. Yes, he should not accept to participate with these small presidents. That is how Kwame Nkrumah devised the means of having the conference in Addis Ababa, so that they could attract him. He found the project persuasive because it was going to be held in his country. So you can imagine for a very long time how we have been under the cunning eye and ear of an imperialist. So therefore, the Organization of African Unity, back in 1963, the main and the only probably agenda was that they should help out those other countries which had not regained independence. And that speech, if you look at the speech that was delivered by Kwame Nkrumah, you look at the speech that was delivered by the President of Central African Republic, you look at the speech of Olympiakos, you look at the speech of Amilcar Cabral, all of them were agitating and agreeing that there is no way we can leave our brothers and sisters that have not regained their independence, we failed to help them. Actually, the speech that was, in my opinion, and I share this opinion with a great number of other Pan-Africanists, by Kwame Nkrumah, he said that the independence of Ghana means nothing if the rest of Africa does not get independent. Now, in the same way, it is what you have been alluding to, which was actually said by Ramaphosa. I cannot agree with him anymore. That one is extremely very true, because what happens is that where an imperialist and a fascist has expressed interest, they have gone to Cuba for over 60 years, imposed economic sanctions, and declared that listed Cuba as a terrorist state, that to the extent that even health services, and you know where Cuba lies when it comes to its her excellence in the health sector,
system, yeah.
They have freezed out the whole island of Cuba is under total blockade, that even the fuels, the health supplies are blockaded. They cannot get to. The same thing they have been doing to the Gaza Strip, and the more or less, if you like, the same thing that they have been doing to Iran, and therefore you get the sense, and the same thing they have been doing to Venezuela, you get the sense in which Comrade Ramaphosa is making this statement as it is happening to Venezuela now, it has been happening to Cuba, and it is still happening. It has been happening to Palestine, it has been happening to Iran, it has been, in a way, by the way, in a way, it has been happening to South Africa, although at limited levels, but tomorrow it will be the entire continent. So that's why he warns that something which is happening elsewhere is also happening to us. And should it not concern us, tomorrow when it comes to us, full swing, there will be nobody to come to our rescue. I agree. I agree. And in that light, therefore, I think that you had gone to the issue of the AU. Yes, in that light, therefore, when the Organization of African Unity and now African Union, when they had finished their initial obligation of making sure that every part of Africa is physically liberated from the shackles of colonialism, they achieved that. And I think the last part should have been South Africa, should be the last territory to be lifted from the colonial the shackles of colonialism. In my opinion, my humble opinion is that they had done the phase of the Nkrumahs and the Merkar Cabrals, the Ben Beras, that phase, huge as it was, had been accomplished. It is therefore wrong for our thinkers, our analysts, to say that the African Union is a barking dog and has achieved nothing. I think that's an unfair assessment, even when we know we can step by step discuss the failures of African Union now, because we know the mandate that they have and what they're supposed to do and what they have not done. That I don't dispute. But to say that they have done nothing completely is too hard.
In terms of percentage, really,
yes.
Since the formation of African Union, and of course from the OAU, the days of the Kwame Nkrumahs, to date, if somebody really first of all asked you what were the primary objectives forming up, even now.
No, they changed. The objectives now have been changed. They kept improving them.
Yeah.
The primary objective from the onset was achieved 100%. It was to liberate the rest of the African continent that was not yet liberated. They said at least that was the common consensus. But later, when they started improving, they looked at economic independence, they looked at food nutrition competences, they looked at silencing the guns, because they have been improving step by step, to the extent that, okay, food security, no, we have not done well. We are at
yet actually we should be
a food basket.
Yes.
Food basket in the
Africa
sense that
should be the one supplying
absolutely,
and serving.
I agree.
Yes.
We have got
we have
Africa as a continent, not just the best soils. The entire continent, including even these so-called desert areas, we are at an average of between 67 to 71 arable land. That we can till and farm the entire Africa at an average of 67 to 71%. Now, in a manner of speaking, it means that the entire Africa is farmable.
Yeah.
You see? But how come that we have got hunger cases on the African continent in some parts of Africa? How come? You see? That's another thing. They talked about economic sufficiency, because when you look at minerals, Africa as a continent is the highest, richest mineral, God-given mineral resource. But we do not, or we have not come to a point of exploiting our own natural resources. We have got to rely on our captors of yesterday, who now reintroduce themselves as imperialists, and we have not been able to exploit our natural resources.
This is the question my elder President Ibrahim of Burkina Faso was asking the other day.
Yes.
That how stupid have we become?
When the likes of Mansa Musa, the richest man here, who was here in West Africa.
The richest man in the world.
Yes, Mansa Musa.
Yes, Mansa Musa.
And yet he was not having the kind of technology to exploit the gold.
And today's education.
Yes.
They were not educated like we are.
Absolutely.
But they had the knowledge to extract gold. They had the knowledge to protect the minerals of the continent. Up to the point that they even went to war. So he was asking, how stupid have we become that we now in this generation, DNA generation, in this age, we are still asking those people to come on the continent,
yes,
exploit what they can exploit, take what they can take, and give us crumbs.
Just a
when they choose.
No,
when you choose to refuse to allow them, the rest of the African leaders and the population,
they gang up
against you.
Yes.
Ibrahim was asking, how stupid have we become? Today we say we are more educated than yesteryears. But educated in what and how?
The kind of education system that we have. And this is the problem, by the way. I was arguing somewhere. I said the problem we have is that we are confusing the two. Because these two concepts are used interchangeably, and they are not the same. Africa, we have been undergoing, we have been having teachers. Teachers who have been teaching a certain set educational curriculum. Those are teachers. We have not been having educators. An educator looks...
having teachers.
Absolutely. An educator looks at a holistic, beyond the classroom. He looks at a human being. So the Africa, the entire Africa, has not had the educators of the caliber of the Paulo Freire's of this world, the Socrates, the innovators, the influencers, these ones who, because those who came, the likes of Patrice Lumumba, those were educators who were waking up the masses, the Soko Tourés, the Amilcar Cabrals, they were educators. They were not teachers, just no educators, waking up the masses to handle the affairs of their environment and make the environment and the people in it better. We don't have those. Those who came up at the time of regaining independence, they were either killed or they were destabilized to a point that they could not take off. And when that happened is when Africa got a problem. Therefore, your African Union now is faced with challenges which are more advanced and complex than what our forefathers, the Nkurumas, the Lumumbas, probably faced. They may be the same in name, but not in character and degree. And that is why you find a situation whereby the African Union is seen as a loud sounding gong and not as a body that has been able to overcome its current challenges. You must look at the current challenges of Africa. Poor education system. Our education system is not the one that is going to liberate us from what is holding us back. We are unable as a continent to exploit our natural resources and bring the natural resources to a point where we can enjoy the rewards. We need as a continent to address that. We are at a point where the levels of trade, the intra-trade, the trade amongst the continent, the trade between, for instance, Morocco and Kenya, the trade between, say, Zambia and Uganda, the trade between, say, Algeria and Mali, between Libya and say Mauritius, is the entire Africa by 2013, 2014-15 was computed to be at well below 18%. Now you can safely say that there has been no trade between African countries. Whereas on the other hand,
African countries, Africa has been trading with other world.
Probably they were not even trading; they were simply being exploited. But when you look at, say, Europe, when Africa intra-trade percentage was at below 18%, the intra-trade or the trade between European countries was well over 78%. Will those countries even ever think of fighting? The connectivity. These are the challenges of African Union now. And that's why when we look at, when we are apportioning, when we are grading and giving marks, we say probably African Union has not actually scored very well. And I am differentiating it from previously when it was being formed. What were the challenges? And how did the challenges, well, how were the challenges overcome? And the present challenges. I'm telling you that the education system has not been improved. At least we don't have an education system as Africa to talk about because we are unable, at least when you look at how education is defined by our contemporaries, I mean our seniors, like the likes of Professor Edward Zeu, the likes of the educators like the Paulo Freire's, then you realize that we have not actually done. The innovation, science and innovation has not been improved. We have not done well. So therefore, the other problem that African Union faces is not just the intra-trade, because now the intra-trade has been improved, with the emergency and the creation of Africa Continental Free Trade Area, whose secretariat is in Ghana, Accra, and I think now we are between 45 to 47. But still we are below the average. We are below the average. But we have improved because we were below the 18%, like I told you, in the 2013. Now, when you look at the peace and security, the stability, because this is a challenge now of African Union. What is the stability? If the Kwame Nkrumah and his colleagues were to wake up from their graves, how would they find Africa? There is an imaginary letter that was written by the chairperson, by then Dr. Dlamini Nkosazana in South Africa. She was the chair. She wrote an imaginary letter to Kwame Nkrumah. And in that imaginary letter, I just would want to paraphrase. Because when you look at, say for instance, the issue of security, peace and security, tell me any part that of Africa that is not beset with war. Cameroon.
But this wars are sponsored by somebody outside.
Exactly, but you see.
They are not our wars.
That is true, and I know for a fact, I know, but you see they are happening here on the African continent, and we are the ones fighting them. Because the question will come, that what are you saying? Are you saying that, for instance, UK is fighting a direct war in Cameroon? South Cameroon is fighting with North Cameroon. North Cameroon, which was occupied by the French, and South Cameroon was partly occupied by the English, the area called Dambozodia. And therefore, the central government of Paul Biya is killing her own citizens in South Cameroon. Will you put that one on the French? It is just our mind as Africans. We must do better. Therefore,
I have given you money to go and fight yourselves. You have accepted.
It's up to you.
And you are fighting.
You look at
so
the wars
more stupid.
The more war, there was in Central African Republic, there was in Southern Sudan, there was in Sudan, there was in the DRC, there was. You cannot claim. Of course, we know that there is that hand of the imperialists and the fascists. But at the end of the day, we are the ones who are fighting these wars.
How can I tell you to go and fight your brother? And you also go and fight him.
Remember that by
and you know that they have an interest.
By 2013, the African Union passed a resolution. They said our challenge is that we must silence these wars.
Total gun silence in Africa.
Silencing of the wars was adopted in 2013 June, and they gave themselves a time frame that by 2020, the wars on the African continent would be silenced. Have they been? If anything, the guns are smoking much more than they were smoking when they adopted the resolution in 2013.
Wow.
So, as far as peace and security, as one of our concerns, even when we have got the entire directorate, the entire department of peace and security, African Union, we have not silenced the guns. The other challenge we have, I have told you, is food security. We are experiencing hunger. We have even created permanent organs like IGAD, fighting famine, fighting what. We have got permanent staff there. And it is being funded by our enemy. Are we ever going to find a solution to have peace and security, to sort out famine and hunger when we have got permanent bodies with permanent staff and money coming in, and their work is to make sure that they keep fighting something for them to be there, so that something must keep there.
So now with all those descriptions you have given of our failures, the question comes, just like I started on this topic. Is Ndayishimiye the right man for the right job, that is going to handle those issues to their logical conclusion? Can Ndayishimiye handle the African continent?
Let me tell you, one thing we must also remember. Although I agree that the presidents of Africa usually meet in Addis, and the presidency, if you like, is rotational. At least every member, every president of any African country must test that chair for 1 year.
Yeah, but for me, you're not answering me.
No, I'm coming. I'm just building a ground.
Unless you're saying it's just rotating for the sake.
No. You see, at the end of the day, the person that handles the day-to-day and makes effective decisions is the chairperson. And that chairperson is now the former foreign affairs minister of Djibouti. The role which was denied to the late Raila Odinga. When he failed that chairmanship of the commission.
The chairman commission.
Exactly. That was the technical person. Under him, of course, they are directors. And I have told you, we have got directorates of ECOSOC, peace and security, food and nutrition, science, innovation, agriculture. Those are the departments at African Union. And they have got their heads of the directors. But at the end of the day, the actual work is actually done by the chairperson of the commission, who now is our former foreign affairs minister. The political arm, at the end of the day, of course, there is that the political, what you call chair, is the one now which our senior brother, Ndayishimiye, the president of Burundi, is occupying. And we need a more robust person who understands and has got the voice and the respect of the rest of the heads of state to move that body. Unfortunately, and I will agree with you, with all due respect, we have got, we speak of Ndayishimiye with a tongue in the cheek. Because
what do you mean?
Because this is what is happening.
What do you mean?
A tongue in the cheek in the sense that Ndayishimiye has been with our brother, senior brother, president of DRC, Tshisekedi, and they have been fighting the so-called Banyamulenge in the eastern part of DRC, whom they claim are actually not the Congolese. Whereas we know for a historical fact that the Banyamulenge are actually part and parcel of the citizens or natives of DRC, at least by way of 1884-85 Berlin Conference, when those lines were drawn and countries were formed. Now, he was part of the team that invited the Belgian outfit. These ones were captured by the Congolese. They were captured by actually you can say the Banyamulenge. They captured them. It was a humiliation actually. It was a very big humiliation. And they put them, the majority of them boarded the planes going back home from Kigali International Airport. We know that for a fact. Therefore, when you get somebody that has not fully appreciated how Africa, just Africa, the people of Africa, the people of the region came to be, and he thinks, for instance, that you must get rid of of natives in the DRC and transplant them without taking the land as well to another country, even when historically we know that they are part of that country. Then you give that person a challenge, a bigger challenge, even if it is only for 1 year, to head the entire Africa as a continent and give it political direction. We are challenged. We are constrained to use certain words because of decency that we must have and decorum in debating some of these matters. But we are not scared of saying that the task that has been given to our senior brother Ndayishimiye probably is higher than his intellectual abilities.
So you said it all. So now, in the hands of Ndayishimiye as the head of the commission, what should Africa expect? And how do we retaliate this, the open, influence of American interests? Because you can see Trump, even their statement, if you read their statement yesterday on the U.S. mission in Africa, it's very clear that they want to muzzle, and it should be their interests first, even at the level of African Union. So what should we expect? How should we, because at one time, I saw the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, telling Ban Ki-moon that we know you are a good man. You remember that?
He was being decent.
You are a good man.
You go and tell.
We shall train you how to fight. Yes.
Now,
so in Ndayishimiye,
we can only take we can only take refugee and comfort in the fact that Ndayishimiye is for this 1 year at only a level probably of coordinating his fellow heads of state. But the technical work is going to be done by the chairperson of the commission, and the chairperson of the commission is certainly not Ndayishimiye, but also the chairperson of the commission, we know, was the handwork of France and the United States of America.
Hey.
Because, yes, that's how they defeated the late Rally Odinga. Because Rally Odinga was considered to be rather too soft on the aspect of Pan-Africanism. They looked at him and remembered the historical attachments he has with right from his father, and they didn't consider him suitable to be able to enable to enable the infiltration and the flourishing.
They thought under him their interests would not be.
It would not be fully respected.
Yes.
You remember that we had a problem again with the previous chairperson of the commission, because under his regime he unilaterally invited Israel as an observer without bringing in calling for the input of the heads of states. They never took a decision, and when they converged, they asked how the Israel was admitted, and one president raised it and said, actually, even before we start, let us have the representatives from Israel get out of the what? Of this hall, and then we debate. And I think they were showing resistance. They were showing resistance, and the sergeant at arms came and pushed them out. If you remember that, they were pushed out, and we fear that when we get the caliber, a combination, say, of, with all due respect, of course, a combination of Ndayishimiye, and who at one time is known to have invited foreigners with Sekedi in DRC to help him fight his own people. We fear that a repeat of what happened with the invitation of the Israeli people can also be done. So therefore, our main concern here is that the challenges of African Union are that the entire Africa is not opened up for trade. And although we are doing, we are making all efforts, because there was they adopted that free trade, which was also to help out all the other regional economic blocs, as you know them, because like ECOWAS, like those initially started, by the way, as regional economic blocs to help out with trade. Forget about now the other roles they are having, like security protection and what have you. The entire Africa is still lacking, or African Union is still lacking a standing army. So the decisions which they take stand by force. So the decisions which they take cannot easily be enforced because we don't have a standby force. That army is not there. We know, of course, Africa is still having a problem of the road network, the connectivity. That we don't have rail lines which are connecting countries. We don't have, the water bodies are not opened up. Those shipping lines are not ours. In terms of connectivity, even by air. Do you know if, for instance, you wanted to go to Central African Republic, do you know what you have to do? First of all, the airlines are very few, and those ones, for instance, like the Rwanda Air. You leave Rwanda, then you go to, I think, Gabon. Then from Gabon, then you connect to Central African Republic. Now you ask if you are using Ethiopian Airlines, it would be Ethiopian Airlines. Then I think Gabon. Then from Gabon, then you carve down. So we don't have this direct, although the lines are increasing, but Africa has not been having their own national carriers, and we have not been having these joint ventures where we can say, okay, as the South African region, let's combine airlines so that we are able to connect on the African continent. Ethiopian Airlines has been doing us good, but they also have limitations. So these are some of the challenges that we are talking about, and we can only say, okay, we have got a roadmap, but majority of the decisions which are adopted at African Union, we have got to wait for the funding, because they will need money.
Funding from where?
Of course, that's the unfortunate part. We do not raise our own money. The only country which was giving us a boost, that was Libya. At one time, Muammar Gaddafi was sponsoring the African Union by 80%. And they realized,
1%?
yes, 1%, one country, 80%.
Yeah,
and the
that's
biggest,
why he became an enemy to the
absolutely. Not only that, by the way, because he was also now telling them that, no, what are our challenges? Let's have our challenges known. Then we are going to combat these challenges. You remember the satellite? See, he's the one who funded it, the African satellite. You remember we had this problem of the currency. He said, but see, we seem to be having a problem. So he was
trying to make
a currency, African currency, backed by gold, and we have enough gold. Then the Americans and their cousins said this we cannot tolerate. So yes, Africa and African Union makes 2 steps in front. I mean, 1 step in front,
then 2
backwards. And that I'm not saying, therefore, because in Pan-Africanism, we do not agonize, we organize. And because we have gone backwards, even when we know where we're supposed to go, then we shouldn't put our hands on top of our heads, sit in the middle of the road and start yelling that we are finished. No, we can only now organize even better and keep fighting. If our generation is not going to achieve the intentions of African Union, the next generation must be prepared to achieve it.
Thank you very much. And on that note, Comrade Daniel Rugarama Karuchiko, we've come to the end of today's Pan-African Pyramid Round Table. And my name is Irumba Katusale. And we say, don't agonize.
Organize.
Don't organize.
Organize.
Thank you so much.
Free your mind now. Be part of the People's Pan-African Parliament. The Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusale.